So this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Born in Flames, 1983. This movie took 5 years to finish. I hated it. I gave it 1 out of 5 stars. It's about some women's army in New York City after 10 years of democratic socialism. It's not good enough for them because they don't have jobs, abortions, and freedom from nuclear family, traditional family values. So they hold the CBS station hostage to air their propaganda, and they blow up the World Trade Center. Nice people, eh? Sounds eerily familiar to 9/11. I guess democratic socialism, we've had it for 100 years, but these people think that it's some kind of dystopian futuristic thing. And even after it's been implemented for 10 years, they have to take it a step further by inflicting violence and taking other people's property. So that sort of gives you an idea of the feminist movement during the late 70s, what their agenda is. Somebody just wanted to make a movie about a black lesbian foo, and even goes so far as to say that prostitution is rape, and they make it, men out to be leering rapists. So that's about all I have to say about this shitty movie. If I were to make a movie, I'd make it similar to this, but and I'd put lesbians in it, but I wouldn't. The protagonist in this film would be the antagonist. In other words, the lesbian would be fighting against communism, Marxism, and socialism. That's my ideal movie, in the same vein as Troll 2, railing against the vegetarians. So this is a polar opposite of the kind of movie that I would make, and that's why I hated it so much. This is the kind of movie that would inspire me to produce something that was antithesis. You know, the Marxism, there's thesis, antithesis, and then synthesis. So mine would be the antithesis of Marxism itself, and everything this movie represents. You know, they talk about free abortions and daycare centers, union jobs, and it's typical Bolshevik crap. It reminded me of San Francisco during the early 90s, during International Women's Day. These women would go around bare-chested, you know, beating up guys and stuff. I'm not making this up. I actually went to see 7 Year Bitch in San Francisco, and there was this hardcore lesbian band that they practically kicked me out of there. So I was talking to 7 Year Bitch outside, which also happens to be one of my my first wife's one of her favorite bands from Seattle. So it's got some of that kind of riot girl music in it, but the lyrics are crap. Radical feminism, revolution, uh, violence as a means to an end, that kind of stuff. So I guess the whole idea behind this movie is that you shouldn't accept the status quo even after democratic socialism is imposed. You should just blow up the World Trade Center like the terrorism of 9/11 or whatever it was. So that's the message, the deranged message this movie tries to get across, that change is always constant and it leads to destroying property and blowing up buildings. And I'm glad I spoiled the ending too. The camera is shaking all the time. The ending is like completely ridiculous. They use a lot of stock footage and stuff. People talking about revolution. I guess the shit really hits the fan when the founder of the Women's Army, black lesbian, of course, is captured and caught for smuggling arms, supposedly. And then they try to make her death look like a suicide, but it was actually a murder, of course. So she's like the martyr that triggers the bombing of innocents and the takeover of the CBS station. Of course, there is no free speech without private property rights, but don't tell that to these Marxist people. You just force their way in with guns and take over the station. And their goal is to control the language, similar to George Orwell's 1984. So that's about all I have to say. I'm done with my review. People who reviewed this on IMDb are the same people who made this movie, basically. Same kind of mentality, I should say. They don't even realize that even though this was released in '83, I guess, it took them 5 years to edit the final version. So a lot of the scenes are like from the late '70s. They talk about inflation and stuff, but they make it look like the inflation is like a distraction from real issues of women's liberation, egalitarianism, whatever kind of dream society that they want through use of force, of course. So that's about all I have to say about this movie. I'm glad I watched it because it really pissed me off later.